I was in college during the COVID era. Everything
Right.
was horrible. So I stopped. And when I stopped, I took a huge turn with my life. I did some things not so favorable to like the law.
Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to just keep it kind of vague?
I can get into it a little bit.
Just to
I
give the
just don't want.
people an idea of like what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
So I was out on a motorcycle and I was riding around illegally. So the cop got behind me and I didn't have insurance or plates. So I ran and state ended up calling out their helicopters. So in my mind, I beat them, because I don't see any cop cars. But apparently, the moment I stopped, I saw a spotlight on my head, and a few minutes later, I was on the ground in cuffs, and yeah.
And then
Yeah.
what happened then?
Well, the justice system kind of ran me through a little bit. I got a lot of my money that I made had to go towards legal fees. At first, the prosecutor was being very hard because this was actually one of the first times the state has ever dealt with a case similar to this, or at the rate of speed that I went. They didn't like it one bit. And for the duration, it was approximately like 13 minutes of me going super fast through busy roads and highways, and
Right.
that to them, they wanted jail time. The prosecutor and my lawyer sat down and called me into their office, and we negotiated a plea that I would not be sentenced to jail time. I told my lawyer that I would go back into school, and one of the things the prosecutor said was, I want to see your enrollment within this time, or we're going to come back and reopen it and take you into jail. So that was a pretty cool thing, kind of had to go to college.
I see. So like your freedom was contingent upon you going back to school.
Absolutely. They also gave me probation, of course. They gave me level 3, which was one of the highest ones, apparently. That's where I have to be home between a certain time, which was 10, and I can't be out before 7. So that kind of sucked because it was, summer was coming up, and
right.
Here I am on technically house arrest in a way, because I can't really leave during those times. And
right.
I had a really, really good experience with the law system, though. From the prosecutor, who was very understanding, to the gentleman who, or my parole officer, he was an amazing person too. He saw right through it. They put me on level 3, and he looked at me and was like, "Dude," he's like, "you don't belong here." He's like, "This is for people with like,
right.
drugs, people who repeat offend." And he put me down to level 1. He worked really hard to, and he got me down to level 1. So I was basically just stay away from cops, don't get in trouble, and you're good. The way you tie into all of this is because there's a lot of things that you say in your videos, especially with optimism. You always say to look like forward, and that sometimes the obstacle is the way. Kind of a stoic look, which I value heavily.
Mm-hmm. How would you describe your perspective changing after going through all of that?
That night that I went to jail, I saw my mother cry, which really, really broke me a lot. And then I watched my sister also cry. My father was really upset, which didn't really hurt me in a way. I knew he was disappointed in who I am and what I did. So I didn't hold any grudges to anyone. At first I was blaming the cop a lot. So that's like, I didn't take accountability for my action.
Right.
And I was like, why aren't they fighting real crime,
Yeah.
But
yeah.
in reality, I realized, they are. Because what if I riding this illegal bike and I ended up, wrecking into someone and they die, you know what I mean?
Sure,
they
yeah.
So I took accountability on a lot of things. It really made me into a better person. I started saving more of my money and investing it. As for hobbies, believe it or not, I got into farming. Gaming's been a big thing, but I've slowly been trying to reset my like mindset about gaming. I always used to take gaming so serious, and it was more of a chore sometimes, and I don't like that. As for motorcycles, I still ride, fully registered and everything, insured. It's a good thing that what happened to me happened. They were explaining how another case similar to this, but the gentleman who ran didn't survive because he was going so fast. And
I remember watching a video many years ago on YouTube of a guy that was going to get pulled over by the cops on a motorcycle for something basic, probably like a tail light out or something. And he ran and ended up wrecking and dying. In like the video was blurred, but it was like the cop ran up to him and he was like, holy shit, this guy just died over a traffic infraction. And it's crazy how quickly your life can change from one bad decision like that. Do you feel lucky in a way that it turned out the way it did?
I do, 100%. I approximately, just to give you a rundown, like the speeds that I broke from just the police radar was 160 plus. I still have the same bike, believe it or not.
They didn't take it away from you?
They did, but I fought really hard, and it's still my property, so I got it back.
Right, okay.
They just made sure that, a lot of money was spent trying to get it back. Yeah, there's a lot of advertisements on like Instagram. Like there's Bikers versus Cops, one of the biggest channels who like, puts people on spotlight. I got into that, which kind of gave me like that like outlaw look on riding a bike. Like I can't do it legal because, they're just out there to get us. But in reality, I was just stupid and I was really young.
I guess I can see that, yeah, because I've seen more and more videos, not of running from cops, but those street takeovers where people will just like do donuts in the middle of an intersection. I mean, it is illegal. Like it must be illegal what they're doing. But I look at the comments and everyone's like, dude, this is so wild. Like this is so cool. And I wonder how we got here, like how would you say you fell into that?
It's definitely social media. I'm going to be honest with you. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have ever met who you are, and gotten this ability to talk to you. So it's done good for humanity, but overall, it's probably been the worst thing invented for humanity, in my opinion, because, I mean, I'm 16 years old, and I remember vividly, I'm sitting there in class, mind you, while failing every single class, but I know that the school system's going to rinse me out no matter what and push me through, because at the end of the day, they need to, it's just one number to them. So here I am just watching videos of guys run off, and just take off from cops, and I'm like, yo, this has got to be the coolest thing ever. And they're posting videos and getting sponsorships back then, and I'm like, yo, like what's stopping me from doing this,
Mm-hmm.
And then it's definitely social media that's ruined it.
And how old are you now?
I'm 22.
Okay, so we're same age. So in those 6 years, you feel like you've changed a lot then?
I think I changed, yeah, for sure. There's people who break the law every day. There's good criminals and bad criminals. I guess, it just doesn't define you. You're a criminal regardless if you break the law, whether or not you're a good or a bad one.
How would you describe your relationship with your parents now?
Really good. My mother, I've been close with. My father, I'm very close with. They're immigrants from a different country, so they came through the hard times, and to them, I'm first generation. So when they saw me, not doing so good, probably weren't very happy with me. But I think now that I'm more mature and I'm actually doing something with my life, in a sense, I think they're more happy to see that.
So what do you intend to do then once you go through law school?
Hopefully to get into a type of law, like something where I'm actually helping people and not putting money into like big corporates. Kind of sounds stupid, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
More for people, maybe even criminal, because sometimes everyone needs like that one lawyer, like the one I had, who just tells them like what they're doing doesn't have to be what they are.
You mentioned at the beginning of the call that you are somewhat struggling with the idea that like you have to go to college for law, but you don't like do you want to do that, or like is there a bit of a struggle there?
Yeah, there is. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not book smart one bit. So like there's been times where I've been super stressful and I've actually started balding like I can physically see it. I'm bald right now, and I'm seeing where hair is growing and where it's not. It's due to my stress, and even my doctor told me, you need to like relax, and it's very, very complicated for me because I stress over the smallest things, and sadly, this field is super intense with reading, and I struggle with reading.
Well, one thing to consider then is you're going into law with the intention to help people and to, be that lawyer that you had. Do you ever think about like the feasibility of actually going through those 4 years? Because law school is hard, man. That's what I've heard. It's really difficult.
I still think about it. I know it might sound like crazy, but I feel like I've gotten so far into it that I just need to, finish it and just see where it takes me. But I've told myself that there's that possibility that next week I might wake up and not want to do it.
Right.
And in that reality, I guess I would hopefully find my new passion, which is a little confusing for me. So I am lost. I'm not going to lie to you one bit.
Do you by any chance know Wes Watson on YouTube?
I do not.
So he is a former convict, and he's built up a massive following. I don't know how much he does it nowadays, but I remember like 5-6 years ago watching a ton of his content where he would just sit down at a table and just tell it how it is, talk about jail stories, talk about what it's like being in prison. And obviously you didn't get that far, thankfully, but he's probably helped millions of people who were in a bad spot with his experiences and sharing them online. And have you ever considered maybe making content of like, hey, this is what I've went through? Like, if anyone can benefit from the story, maybe they could, like it doesn't just have to be one way, is what I'm saying.
I completely understand. There's other ways of helping. Like you helped me, and you've probably helped countless others, and some you might never meet, but you've helped a lot of people. You've helped a lot of my friends too, believe it or not. If you ever did make this something that would have to be paid to talk to you, I would, without a doubt. I could justify me spending whatever just to talk to you for 30 minutes. Really good person when it comes to just being there, you don't give, you're not like some of these people who just force you to like do this, do that. You're just like, just think about this, and I'm sorry, just thank you. That's all.
No, man, I appreciate it. That is the entire point of me doing what I do right there, is when there's a really impactful, like real, genuine, raw reaction to the content, and people actually get stuff out of it beyond like, oh, that was entertaining, on to the next video. Like it actually helped someone's life. That's why I do it. So that I really appreciate that. I really do think, man, that you could help people. There are people out there, maybe they are not in trouble with the law, but just the way that you communicate your story and the way that you like had a happy ending, essentially. Like you didn't go to jail, you didn't fall apart, you came out of it, and like that might have been like one of the lowest moments that you'll have in your life, but you went through it. And I know that there are so many people out there that would love to hear that. And I just always want to give people the possibility that there's not just college. There's not just one way to do things. And I feel like you could have a real good shot at doing something else that is maybe even helping people in a far bigger reach than you can even imagine. Because I think about the fact that there's millions of people that have watched the stuff that I've put on the internet. And I can't have millions of clients as a lawyer, Thinking about that reach, it's like, it's boundless when you're on the internet. So just consider it. That's what I'm saying.
I really appreciate this. I hopefully in the future I can check back in with you. Hopefully it's just as good as this conversation was.
Absolutely, man.
Alright, yeah. Take care.
Thanks, man. I'll see you.